What up, guys? It's DoubleWinning, and I'm here with SoloRenektonOnly, who's been really generous with the time to answer some questions and help you guys improve your gameplay, especially your Renekton gameplay. So how are you doing today, man?
I'm doing good, man. Thanks for having me.
Of course, of course. And so, I mean, most people know you from your Renekton play, but, I guess we could just start off there. And, like, what do you like most about Renekton, and how long have you been playing Renekton?
Well, I started playing him around the Z release,
Okay.
so I played about 1,100 games since then. So that's not that long ago.
Holy crap.
uh, yeah. Well, basically, what happened was I was terrible at top lane. That was like the last lane that I did not really know what the hell I was doing in. So I wanted to learn like top lane through one champion. I was trying Zed. I tried a few others. Didn't really like them because I just died of the gank every single time. So what I ended up doing is I tried Renekton, and the first time I got ganked, I got a double kill. I just fell in
Oh.
love with the champion. I've been playing him ever since. So
There you go. Yeah, you just like you turn the beast mode on. You're six. You hit R, and you're just like, "What's good? You came to my lane, well, I came to kill both of you."
exactly, a nice little double kill, walk away. It's been my
Nice,
move.
nice. Okay, so when you're talking about you had started playing, learning top lane. What ranking were you when you like started playing Renekton pretty much exclusively?
Uh, I think I was somewhere in plat. I think
Okay, and
like
so
plat one. I think.
so you pretty much rode your way up to diamond, and now you've kind of expanded to more champions as well.
Well, I think kind of like I took a long break before, and I think if I played other champions, I'd probably get the diamond too.
Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. I,
But I think definitely focusing on one champion, like I mastered the champion pretty quickly, and then that was as long as I got the champion, it'd pretty much be a free win, right?
there you go. There you go. All right, yeah, and so in case you guys who are watching the video don't know, he is Diamond One, and so like that's really cool. It's a very exclusive group of players, and so I also wanted to just do a quick plug here that you do have a YouTube channel where you post a lot of Renekton gameplay, and
Oh
I
yeah.
mean like just about every situation you can be in. You've got your daily Renekton gameplays. So if you guys are wondering about like a specific matchup or anything like that, you can really just search through and find. If you're wondering, oh, what do I do against a Riven? What do I do against like a Xin Zhao, something like that? You guys can check that out. And so I'll have a link on the screen right now, as well as it'll be in the description if you guys want to check that out. As well as, of course, I'll have that at the end of the video if you want to wait for that. And so I kind of want to get into more like the real meat of the questions, the stuff that'll help
Okay.
people with the Renekton gameplay. And so one thing I've noticed, I was watching a few of your videos, especially like your daily Renekton ones, to kind of get a feel for how you kind of play him average, like your average game with him. And I noticed that you auto attack a lot. Like you'll just go up and there'll be five, six creeps on each side of the wave, and you'll just walk up and you won't stop hitting them until they back off, which when I see some players like I think Dyrus is probably one of the better known Renekton players, just because he has such a huge fan base, and he seems like he plays pretty much the opposite of you, where he just kind of clears waves and plays super passive. And so I was just kind of wondering, what are your thoughts on these two different styles of Renekton, and do you think you have to play overly aggressive to carry with Renekton, or what do you think?
Well, I think you have to play it super aggressive in the early game with Renekton. I think that's really where his strengths lie. And I feel like in League in general, if you can be greedy and get away with something, you should definitely do it. That's why I like to rush like Hydra, and I like to be aggressive in the early and the mid game.
Yeah, yeah,
But you'll often see me auto attacking more. Like I think I know what you're talking about. Like, level one, level two, I'll just start auto with someone and just chase them all the way till their turn.
yeah,
And it's about knowing the matchup and knowing when you can get away with. Like sometimes like a ranged champion won't understand that if I keep autoing and I stay on top of them, it doesn't matter if I'm losing health at like a faster rate than they are, because I'm going to heal it back up with my Q, and I'm just going to be waiting for that 50 Fury so I can get that empowered Q. And I don't know. I think a lot of Renekton's strength comes in people underestimating his abilities.
Oh yeah, definitely. Especially with that 1v2 you were talking about. So many people, like jungler will come in with half health, your laner's half health, and you just gain, 400 health or something like that, and you just crush him.
Exactly.
Like, yeah. All right. So, you were talking about how with different matchups there, you kind of can just keep autoing with them, and you kind of have to know the matchups. So, what would you say are like the top three matchups that you absolutely want to pick Renekton into? Like, you would be overjoyous that you picked Renekton into it.
I think Renekton is one of the only champions right now in the top lane meta that you can just pick blindly into anything and be perfectly fine with it. I think he smashes melee champions the hardest, though. I think range champions, some people have difficult matchups. He's really easy to play against range champions because of his sustain, but I think overall if you want to pick him against melee matchups, it's probably the best. Probably something like Tryndamere, he definitely stomps. Jax, he stomps because all of Renekton's abilities go right through Jax's counter-strike, so you can even stun him and like dodge away if you have to. And I think he does really well against Shen early, like denying him and all that, but...
Okay, very cool. I guess I didn't really think about that. Yeah, Renekton, it does sound like he's got a, he feels like he has a kit that could really handle at least everyone, even if you're not a really great Renekton player. So would you say there's nobody at all that you would avoid as Renekton?
I don't think there's anybody who can deal with Renekton in the early game. I think maybe Shyvana can deal with him in the early game. Other than that, I think Renekton has the ability to deal with any champion. I think what you want to do against Renekton, though, is you want to pick champions that outscale him, or champions that can farm safely and have huge impact on later team fights. So champions like Nasus, Jax, Vlad, like they might not do great in lane with Renekton, but they'll outscale him and have a bigger impact on the game later. Or champions like Kennen and Lissandra both can farm really safely and like pretty much never die to Renekton if they're played correctly. And then they can have huge impacts on team fights with their AoE ultimates.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, I guess that's a good point. Yeah. All right, so I guess if we go back into kind of if we think about the actual statistics of the lane, the ideas for the lane. Personally, when I play him, I think starting the Doran Shield, especially with the block Masteries, is really, really strong. Do you think there are any times where like getting like a red pot or a Doran's Blade, especially like the fact that you can get a health pot now, is a better situation? Like, what are some situations where you think that just like the standard Doran Shield wouldn't be the best choice?
So overall, I feel like Doran's Shield is just an amazing item in the top lane champion.
Yeah.
Like the 8 block plus you get 5 for mastery, so that's 13 block early game. Basically, what happens? Say you're against like an 80 Nidalee or something, he's autoing you for like 45 damage. Like it's like nothing. If he doesn't have 80 runes, I played against an AP Nidalee the other day. He was autoing me early game for 35 damage.
Throwing rocks at you, pretty much.
It's absolutely massive how much it blocks in the early game. So I think it's really crucial to take that. But if you want to go more aggressive, you can take Doran's Blade. The one problem I have with Doran's Blade is you have to make sure that you can keep autoing, and sometimes that pushes the wave, depending on the situation, obviously. But the problem with Doran's Blade is if you get into a situation where you're low health and you have to back away from the wave, unlike the Doran's Shield, where you have the passive sustain with the health regen, you don't have that with the Doran's Blade. You have to be autoing to get your health back. So there's some situations where champions can force you out of, like, away from autoing and using your Q and everything to sustain. And in those situations, I'd much rather have Doran's Shield. So sometimes, like, a champion like Tryndamere, right? If he gets an advantage on you, an HP advantage, you can't just stand up in the lane because they'll just auto you to death and kill you. So you have to sit back a little bit. But when you're sitting back, you're not regenning because you don't have, health per 5. Well, the extra health per 5 from Doran's Shield.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Situations like that, I think Doran's Shields are a little bit better.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I had kind of wondered because, what I was talking about before, you auto a lot, so I thought maybe Doran's Blade might be, might be one of your more preferred. But yeah, I definitely can see what you're saying there. It's kind of risky, if you get in the wrong jungle matchup, and they can gank you early, and then you have a lower health pool, you're not gonna be able to just sit back. So okay, exactly. that makes a lot of sense. So
that's one of the perfect situations right there. That's one of the best ones. It forces you to back instead of where with the Doran's Shield you can just stick around, wait for your health to regen, and then you're back in lane again like nothing had happened. You have to actually back, and you lose out a wave or whatever. So that's a great point.
Which is huge at top lane when it's just mono usually. So, all right, and then so would you say with the cost up to red pot, it's really not worth it anymore?
Yeah, I don't like red pot anymore. It used to be great because it wasn't just the red pot that was great. It was because you could get jungle EXP too, and then you'd come to lane and you'd hit like level 2 midway through the first wave. So you get this absurdly fast like level 2 all in with a red pot, and it was just nuts. It was really broken.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, I don't think it's that great now, especially with the defensive masteries are really, really strong right now, early game. So a lot of people are more tankier. So I think you're seeing a shift in the meta to more like, tanky top lanes. Like right now, I think Nasus is absolutely broken.
Well, I mean, that's perfect there because my next question was actually going to be about the Renekton versus Nasus matchup because me personally, like, it's one of those matchups where I can see so many arguments for both sides, and it just honestly feels like no one really knows what they're talking about. So I figured the best person to ask about this kind of matchup would be you, because I figure you've probably played this matchup a lot. So what are your thoughts about the matchup, and is there really any way to like try and shut down the Nasus?
So in season 3, I thought the matchup was pretty easy because you could deny him hard enough, and there was like a big enough gap in between early and like late game that he couldn't just like ramp up right to like the late game super strong Nasus.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
now in season 4, I feel like it's easier to get from early to late game because they toned down like the ability to snowball. So it's harder to like completely demolish him in lane like you could earlier. Like before you could get a couple of kills and then you can fight him at level 11. Now it's like you can get a couple of kills and you still can't fight him at like level 8. Like once he gets a chain vest and a ninja tab, he's a pretty scary guy to
Yeah.
I think the best thing to do against Nasus, I mean, you can't deny him obviously early game, but what I found works really well is I like to build up a big Fury pool because then it scares him because he knows I can obviously do a ton of damage whenever he comes in. So say like 100 Fury, and then you want to bait him into using his E. If he uses his E to like farm a last hit or something, it ends up pushing the minion, and then it's like an endless cycle, right? So he uses E to push the minions, right? But it's going to kill some of the other ones and push the wave even farther. So then you're just going to keep slowly pushing, and he's going to have to use E again because now he's getting overextended. So it's just like this endless cycle. He's going to have to keep using E. He's going to keep getting overextended. Now he's all the way out by your tower, and you're going to freeze it there. And now he's like scared of getting ganked. He can't Q farm. That's pretty much the best situation I've ever found with Nasus. But it's kind of hard to actually make it happen because oftentimes you're pushing against him. So like I don't really know how to get that situation to happen. I haven't figured that part out yet. But that's like the key situation that I look for in that matchup, I guess.
Okay, so would you, I guess for item choices in that matchup, would you avoid getting like the Tiamat then because it would push your wave, or is that?
Honestly, I go Tiamat, Hydra, and then I pretty much ignore him. Like at level like I don't know 9 to 10, you're pretty much screwed in the 1v1 fight against Nasus unless you kill them like 5 times in lane. There's really no way you're gonna like 1v1 him. Unless you have like a huge health, like he's half health and you're full health, then yeah, but he's probably just going to run away from you and wither you. So he's like a really hard target to kill, and he's probably going to kill you. So I just ignore him, and I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to go, mid lane, probably try and gank mid from behind tower because I'm so tanky. I can take like 4 or 5 tower shots and not worry about it. Or, push mid tower, push bot tower, dragon. You want to force objectives, force Nasus away from just sitting in a side lane farming. And if you're able to do that and group up with your team, then it's really good. The problem is it's solo queue and grouping up and that's pretty much why Nasus is really strong because people don't really group up and take advantage of his weakness in the mid game.
Okay, yeah. So you want to try and get as much objectives and gold and global gold before he really hits that critical mass.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
And it doesn't matter if he has a bunch of Q stacks if your whole team has like, an extra item apiece,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can have 150 Q stacks, but it's not going to matter if your team has an Infinity Edge worth of gold on them. Yeah. Okay, cool. So, one thing I used to see a lot is I used to see like kind of the Brutalizer rush on Renekton. This is a while back, way before before the T-Mac got reworked, because I know that the Hydra is super good, but it all seems to synergize pretty well with this kit, AD, armor pen, cooldown reduction, but I also understand the Tiamat's really, really good for pushing. Are there any situations where you would consider getting the Brutalizer before the Tiamat?
So they're both like really amazing items, and honestly, I would love to get both of them like right away, but I feel so squishy when I go Brutalizer into Hydra, so I don't know, I end up opting for like Hydra, Spirit Visage, and Sunfire as like my first 3 main items, and then I end up getting like a Brutalizer into Black Cleaver like 4th. So, but I think if you're going Sunfire first, it's like crucial that you get a Brutalizer, because if you don't get a Brutalizer when you're going Sunfire first, you're gonna have like really terrible damage. And like Sunfire is gonna give you a lot of extra damage, but you really need that Brutalizer because, like you said, it gives AD, CDR, and armor pen. Those are 3 amazing stats on Renekton. Those are the 3 damage stats on because he's an AD caster. So
yeah, okay, awesome. So normally you're gonna rush the Hydra, but if you are going Sunfire first, you want to go Brutalizer right after, not the Hydra?
I would go Brutalizer before the Sunfire Cape, actually. Yeah. So
okay.
Shield and a health pot or whatever, then double longsword into Brutalizer, and then go for the Sunfire after.
Okay, cool, thank you. So I saw your guide on solo mid, and I was going through some of the stuff, and some of the stuff kind of contradicted with some of the stuff I'd seen in your videos, but of course, a text guide is never going to be, 100% the scenario. So one thing I saw is that on your guide, it looked like you preferred 921 for your masteries. However, I saw a lot of your daily games, and I saw the blade weaving mastery pop up, which,
Right.
you have to be more offensive in the masteries. So I was wondering if you could go into, some examples of why you would go more offensive in your masteries as opposed to kind of the standard 921 bruiser build.
Okay, excellent. So basically, I do two different builds right now. One's 921, which is, your standard defense gauge.
Yeah.
And the other one's like 1317, and that's the one you're probably talking about, where I'm picking up blade weaving and I'm picking up executioner there. So
Okay.
I basically what I do is I swap 4 points out of defense. So it's the 3 points in tenacious, which is the 1 point. What is it? I think it's like 1.5 armor and 0.75 magic resist per person.
Okay. Yeah.
The one that one. And then the other one's obviously the 21-point mastery, which is the 15% reduction in crowd control. So I swap out those 4 points, and I grab the 3 points in executioner, and then the 1 point in blade weaving. And I think it's pretty strong against a jungler in a top lane that doesn't have much CC. If they don't have much CC, then I opt for that.
Okay. Yeah, because you don't need the crowd control reduction. Okay.
Crowd control is like a lot weaker. If I'm not using it, what's the point of having it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Tenacious is really good, so I don't know. I'm still testing both of them out, but right now I think they're both really strong, and that's kind of my opinion on those.
Okay, that's cool though. It's good that it's pretty standard. If the jungler and top don't have a lot of CC, go for this, and then if they do, then go for the 921. That's cool. And I'm also for people watching the video, I'm gonna have a picture of the two masteries he uses on the screen now, so you guys can pause if you guys want to check that out. But moving forward here, I also noticed in your guide you take 15 AD without any armor penetration. Which is kind of weird for me because I've played Renekton a handful of times, and when I don't take armor penetration, it feels kind of like you're just slapping people as opposed to like really hitting people. So I was just wondering, what do you feel about like getting maybe like 6.8 AD and then getting the armor pen versus kind of getting the full AD? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Right. So originally, I liked the 15 AD because when I started playing Renekton, it was during the Red Pod era. So
Yeah.
I think having the 15 AD, basically how AD and Armor Pen works on Renekton is between levels 1 and 3, AD is better than Armor Pen, but after level 3, like Armor Pen begins getting like better. And we're talking about differences of like 2 or 3 damage on like abilities. So it's hardly that much, but the 15 AD allowed me to like last hit, and that was something I was really bad at when I first started playing top lane. So that helped me out a lot. And I guess I kind of stuck with those for a while, but lately I've actually switched up a little bit. I've been playing with 9 Armor Pen, 8 AD. So I lose. Yeah, so it's a little different. You can probably put the page up. I'll give you the link for it. But basically, it's 9 Armor Pen, 8 AD. So you lose a little bit of attack damage, but you get more Armor Pen out of it. So I think it's a really good mixture that gives you a strong early game and it scales better because obviously the Armor Pen scales better than the attack damage into the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially with the changes to the master, you don't get the free 5 or so armor penetration anymore.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. All right, so we're going to have the slight break in the interview here, guys. If you guys are enjoying the interview, I'm going to have a link on the screen as well as in the description to SoloRenektonOnly's channel, so you guys can go check out the second part of the interview there. And so you want to go click that, and then you can go subscribe to his channel. He has great content, lots of Renekton gameplay, as well as other champions as well. It's a Diamond 1 player. He knows his stuff. So if you guys really want to learn more, you definitely want to go check out his channel. So go do that now.